Stephen A. Smith has always been a big critic of Patrick Mahomes. From questioning his GOAT status to criticizing his on-field decisions, Smith has never held back. But just when we thought we've heard it all, Stephen comes out with another shocking revelation about Mahomes' finances.
As a spectator who's covered sports for 30 years now, let me tell you this. Patrick Mahomes may be the greatest quarterback we've ever seen. It's the first time in his career I've seen him embarrass himself.
So what exactly did Stephen A. expose? And why are people saying Mahomes might be one bad investment away from losing it all? Let's get into it. Stephen A.'s relentless critique. Our story begins back in January 2021, when Mahomes was riding high after his first Super Bowl victory and was preparing for a showdown against Tom Brady's Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Super Bowl LV. It was during this time that Stephen A. made a bold claim that would set the tone for years of criticism to come. During an appearance on ESPN's First Take, Smith suggested something that many considered blasphemous, that Mahomes' success wasn't solely attributed to his talents, but rather to the supporting cast around him.
Patrick Mahomes is great, but so is Josh Allen, so is Lamar Jackson, so is Joe Burrow. Why does Patrick Mahomes win, especially when it comes to those guys?
This was just the start of what would become a pattern for Stephen A., acknowledging Mahomes' greatness while simultaneously undermining it. The subtext was clear. Patrick Mahomes might be exceptional, but he's also exceptionally fortunate to have the Chiefs' arsenal at his disposal. The criticism only intensified after Super Bowl LV, where Mahomes and the Chiefs suffered a crushing 31-9 defeat to the Buccaneers. In what would become one of his most memorable critiques, Stephen A. took to X, formerly Twitter, with a declaration that sent shockwaves through NFL fandom, saying no more talks about Mahomes being the GOAT. This bold proclamation came after Mahomes completed just 26 of 49 passes for 270 yards, throwing 2 interceptions and no touchdowns in a game where he was consistently pressured by the Buccaneers defense. The timing of this statement was particularly significant. At just 25 years old, Mahomes had already won a Super Bowl, earned MVP honors, and was being compared to the likes of Tom Brady. Many were ready to crown him as the next GOAT in waiting. Stephen A., however, wasn't having it. With one tweet, he effectively poured cold water on the Mahomes hype train, suggesting that one bad performance on the biggest stage was enough to derail the quarterback's journey to legendary status. But Stephen A. wasn't done. He doubled down on his criticism with another tweet that further emphasized his stance. The message was clear. A true GOAT candidate doesn't get embarrassed on the biggest stage in football. It was a harsh assessment of a young quarterback who had already accomplished more than most in their entire careers, but it established a pattern that would continue for years to come. Stephen A. setting an impossibly high bar for Mahomes and then criticizing him for not clearing it. Fast forward to December 2023, and we saw another classic Stephen A. moment following a Chiefs loss to the Buffalo Bills. After a controversial offensive offsides call on Kadarius, Tony negated what would have been a game-winning touchdown. Mahomes' emotional reaction, slamming his helmet, yelling at referees, and later criticizing the call in post-game comments, became the talk of the NFL. Stephen A., never one to miss an opportunity to offer his opinion, pounced.
As a spectator who's covered sports for 30 years now, let me tell you this. Patrick Mahomes may be the greatest quarterback we've ever seen. It's the first time in his career I've seen him embarrass himself.
Let's pause and appreciate the artistry of Stephen A.'s critique here. He begins by acknowledging Mahomes' greatness, maybe the greatest quarterback we've ever seen, before delivering the knockout punch. It's the first time in his career I've seen him embarrass himself. This is classic Stephen A. Smith. Build him up just enough to make the subsequent takedown all the more dramatic. But he didn't stop there. Stephen A. continued his tirade, extending his criticism to include Chiefs head coach Andy Reid, a man he claims to have known since the 1990s when Smith was working for the Philadelphia Inquirer.
I've known Andy Reid since the 90s when I was working for the Philadelphia Inquirer, who is a Hall of Fame coach. Outside of Bill Belichick, can we definitively look at anybody in the modern day coaching or fraternity that we can say is better or has a better resume than Andy Reid? I've never seen them embarrass themselves until yesterday. Your receiver lined up offside. Period. The criticism here is multifaceted and calculated. Stephen A. isn't just questioning Mahomes' emotional reaction. He's challenging his professionalism, his composure under pressure, and his ability to accept a clear rules violation by his teammate. By bringing Andy Reid into the conversation, Stephen A. elevates the criticism from an individual player to an organizational culture issue. The implication is clear. Even the greatest quarterback-coach duo in the NFL can have moments of unprofessional behavior. In February 2025, as the Chiefs prepared for Super Bowl
licks against the Philadelphia Eagles, Stephen A. once again found reason to question Mahomes' greatness. Despite Mahomes heading into his 5th Super Bowl appearance with 3 wins and 3 MVP awards already under his belt, Stephen A. chose to focus on his vulnerabilities rather than his achievements. On First Take, he highlighted a concerning statistic. In his 4 previous Super Bowl appearances, Mahomes had thrown 5 interceptions with a passer rating of just 85.2. The message was clear. For all his regular season and playoff brilliance, Mahomes had shown weaknesses on the biggest stage. This critique was particularly cutting because it targeted the very moments that define a quarterback's legacy, Super Bowl performances. But the coup de grace came after Super Bowl licks, where the Chiefs suffered a crushing 40-22 defeat to the Eagles. Mahomes' performance was undeniably poor. 21 of 32 passes for 257 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, including a pick 6, 6 sacks, and 9 quarterback hits. Stephen A., sensing blood in the water, went for the kill.
First of all, you're going to quote me accurately, because I saw they played my quote from yesterday about, no, the GOAT status is gone. For the foreseeable future, the next 2 to 3 years, we ain't going to be having no conversation about no GOAT. Not after what we saw in the Super Bowl.
The critique was brutal, yet calculated. Stephen A. acknowledged Mahomes' overall greatness, while simultaneously destroying his GOAT candidacy based on his Super Bowl licks performance. He compared Mahomes unfavorably to the likes of Tom Brady and Joe Montana, pointing out that while Brady's Super Bowl losses were close contests, Mahomes' 2 losses were blowouts, a mark against his legacy in Stephen A.'s eyes. What makes Stephen A. Smith's criticisms of Patrick Mahomes so compelling is not just their content, but their timing. He strikes when Mahomes is at his most vulnerable after disappointing Super Bowl performances, emotional outbursts, or controversial losses. His critiques are delivered with the perfect blend of respect and ruthlessness, acknowledging Mahomes' talents while simultaneously raising questions about his place in NFL history.
Talk about these moments with Patrick Mahomes. He's won 3 Super Bowls. He's a 3-time Super Bowl MVP. Fair enough, and we know he's the best in the game today. There's nothing to debate about that. There's something else that comes with it too. His performance in those 2 Super Bowl losses. Do you know he's been outscored by 40 points?
Perhaps most interesting about Stephen A.'s commentary on Mahomes is how he manages to frame his criticisms as objective analysis rather than personal attacks. He presents statistics, makes comparisons to other quarterbacks, and focuses on specific game situations. This approach gives his takes an air of legitimacy that resonates with viewers, even those who may disagree with his conclusions. The Stephen A. Smith-Patrick Mahomes saga is far from over. As Mahomes continues his career, Stephen A. will undoubtedly be there, ready to praise his triumphs and magnify his failures. It's a dynamic that makes for compelling television and demonstrates why Stephen A. remains one of sports media's most influential voices. He doesn't just report on sports, he shapes the narratives around them. And in Patrick Mahomes, he's found the perfect foil for his particular brand of sports commentary. The financial reality behind Mahomes' empire. While Stephen A. Smith has been busy questioning Patrick Mahomes' on-field legacy, an equally fascinating story has been unfolding off the field, the financial empire of one of football's biggest stars.
He got a contract that was close to $500 million, even though less than 150 is pretty much guaranteed, according to my calculations. Don't matter, he deserves every penny he gets. No question about it. But we ain't gonna sit up here and act like he ain't one of the luckiest dudes either.
Now the question is, does Mahomes really deserve every penny, or is he just lucky, as stated by Smith? To truly understand the context of Stephen A.'s criticisms, we need to examine who Patrick Mahomes is and how his financial history has shaped his career and public perception. Patrick Mahomes, born on September 17, 1995 in Tyler, Texas, is the son of former MLB pitcher Pat Mahomes Sr. and Randy Martin. From his earliest days, athletics was in his blood. Growing up in a sports-centered household, young Patrick excelled in multiple sports during his high school years at White House High School, showcasing his talents in football, baseball, and basketball. It was clear from an early age that Mahomes possessed exceptional athletic abilities that would eventually translate to professional success. His collegiate career at Texas Tech University further cemented his reputation as a rising star in football. Mahomes' extraordinary arm talent, improvisational skills, and on-field intelligence made him a standout quarterback, eventually leading him to forego his senior year to enter the NFL draft. This decision would prove to be one of the most financially consequential choices of his life. The Kansas City Chiefs selected Mahomes with the 10th overall pick in the 2017 NFL Draft, marking the beginning of what would become one of the most remarkable careers in NFL history. Since then, Mahomes has achieved extraordinary success. 3 Super Bowl victories, Live, LV, LV8, 3 Super Bowl MVP awards, 2 NFL MVP awards, and an unprecedented 6 consecutive AFC Championship game appearances. These achievements have not only only cemented his place in NFL history, but have also translated into substantial financial rewards. As of 2025, Patrick Mahomes' estimated net worth stands at an impressive $90 million. This wealth stems from a combination of NFL contracts, lucrative endorsement deals, and strategic investments. Let's break down how Mahomes built his financial empire, starting with his NFL earnings. Mahomes' journey to financial success began relatively modestly by NFL superstar standards. His rookie contract, signed in 2017, was a 4-year deal worth $16.42 million, fully guaranteed with a $10.1 million signing bonus. While this represented life-changing money for the young quarterback, it was merely the beginning of what would become one of the most lucrative careers in sports history. The true financial game changer came in July 2020, when Mahomes signed what was then the largest contract in sports history, a 10-year extension worth $450 million, with the potential to reach $503 million with incentives. This unprecedented deal included $63 million guaranteed at signing and $141.48 million in injury guarantees. With an average annual value, AAV, of $45 million, the contract made Mahomes the highest paid player in the NFL at the time.
You know that Patrick Mahomes, on and off the field, is the guy you want as your franchise standard bearer. Just led you to a Super Bowl championship, and obviously to get Patrick Mahomes to agree to something that long, you got to make it worth his while.
The magnitude of this contract cannot be overstated. By signing Mahomes to such a lengthy deal, the Chiefs demonstrated unprecedented faith in their young quarterback. The contract represented not just compensation for past performance, but an investment in Mahomes' future, a bet that he would continue to be one of the NFL's premier players for the next decade. However, the rapidly evolving NFL salary landscape soon presented a new challenge. By 2023, Mahomes' once record-setting $45 million AAV had fallen to 8th among quarterback salaries, as newer contracts with higher annual values were signed across the league. Players like Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, and Jalen Hurts secured deals with higher annual values, potentially undermining Mahomes' status as the league's top-paid player. Recognizing this shift, the Chiefs restructured Mahomes' contract in September 2023, guaranteeing $210.6 million from 2023 to 2026, the most in NFL history over a 4-year span, with escalators potentially increasing it to $218.1 million. This restructuring added approximately $48.3 million over 4 years, ensuring that Mahomes remained among the NFL's highest paid players despite the changing market conditions.
Patrick Mahomes now finally getting market value, which is very, very, very high, as we'll see, I'm sure, when the final numbers are out.
Through 2024, Mahomes has earned approximately $182 million from NFL contracts alone, ranking him 11th among active players. If his current trajectory continues, he is projected to become the NFL's highest career earner by 2030, potentially surpassing even legendary figures like Tom Brady in lifetime earnings. But Mahomes' financial acumen extends far beyond his NFL salary. Like many savvy professional athletes, he has diversified his income through endorsements and investments, creating multiple revenue streams that will continue to generate wealth long after his playing days are over. On the endorsement front, Mahomes has secured lucrative deals with major brands including Adidas, Oakley, State Farm, Head & Shoulders, Hunts, Essential Water, Hy-Vee, DirecTV, Subway, and EA Sports. According to Forbes, in 2023 alone, Mahomes earned approximately $20 million from sponsorships, second only to Tom Brady among NFL players. His partnership with Oakley even resulted in a signature Mahomes II Signature Series line, and he made history as the first Kansas City Chiefs player to grace the cover of Madden NFL 20. These endorsement deals contribute an estimated $7.25 million annually to Mahomes' income, representing a significant portion of his overall wealth. Mahomes has also demonstrated considerable business savvy through his investment portfolio, which spans sports team ownership and various business ventures. In 2020, at just 24 years old, Mahomes purchased a 1% stake in the Kansas City Royals for approximately $10 million, becoming the youngest owner in Major League Sports history. This investment not only tied him more deeply to the Kansas City community, but also positioned him to benefit from the increasing valuations of professional sports franchises. Expanding his sports ownership portfolio, Mahomes later joined the ownership group of Sporting Kansas City, MLS, in 2021. though the exact stake and cost remain undisclosed. He and his wife Brittany are also part owners of the Kansas City Current, NWSL, further cementing their connection to Kansas City's sports landscape. In a move that demonstrated his global investment vision, Mahomes joined an investment group led by Atro Capital in 2023, alongside teammates Travis Kelce and golfer Rory McIlroy, investing €200 million in Formula One team Alpine. Beyond sports ownership, Mahomes has ventured into various business opportunities. He partnered with KMO Burgers to open Whataburger franchises in Kansas City, starting in 2022. He has also invested in technology and wellness companies, including wearable tech company Whoop, valued at $3.6 billion after a 2021 funding round, and sports wellness company Hyperice, which secured over $100 million in 2021. These diverse investments showcase Mahomes' understanding of the importance of portfolio diversification and long-term financial planning.
I made enough money where I'll be set for the rest of my life.
Real estate has also played a role in Mahomes' investment strategy. In 2017, he purchased a 759-square-foot home in Kansas City for $1.9 million, which he later sold in 2019 for less than $3 million, likely at a profit, though exact figures remain unclear. In 2020, he expanded his real estate holdings by purchasing a home in Dallas for $3.4 million. His most significant real estate investment came in 2020 to 2021 when he bought an 8-acre plot in Belton, Missouri for $400,000 and constructed a mansion featuring a pool, private pond, par 3 golf hole, and half a soccer field. A property whose total value, while undisclosed, undoubtedly represents a substantial investment. Despite Mahomes' overall financial success, it's worth examining instances where he may have experienced financial setbacks or losses. Surprisingly, despite the volatile nature of professional sports and investments, documented cases of Mahomes losing money are extremely limited, a testament to his financial management and the NFL's guaranteed contract structure. Mahomes' investments in sports teams, Royals, Sporting KC, Kansas City Current, Alpine F1, and businesses, Whataburger, Whoop, Hyperice, naturally carry inherent risks. For example, his $10 million stake in the Kansas City Royals represents a long-term investment whose value can fluctuate based on team performance and market trends. Similarly, his involvement in the Alpine F1 team is speculative, as team performance and sponsorships heavily influence returns. However, no specific losses from these investments have been reported. When analyzing Mahomes' financial history, it's also important to consider opportunity costs. His Super Bowl losses in 2021, Super Bowl LV, and 2025 Super Bowl licks resulted in missed performance bonuses. His restructured contract includes a $1.25 million escalator for a Super Bowl victory, which he did not earn in these years. Additionally, Super Bowl victories could have enhanced his marketability, potentially increasing endorsement earnings. These represent opportunity costs rather than direct losses. Another form of opportunity cost relates to Mahomes' contract structure. While historic in total value, his 2020 contract has been criticized as team-friendly due to its long-term nature. By 2023, his $45 million AAV ranked 12th among quarterbacks, behind players like Joe Burrow, $55 million, and Dak Prescott, $60 million. Some argue that Mahomes is underpaid relative to his value, as he prioritized team flexibility to maintain a competitive roster. This decision sacrificed potential earnings, with Mahomes himself stating in May 2023, "I worry about legacy and winning rings more than making money."
I've always said I worry about legacy and winning rings more than making money at this moment, but I know we keep communication.
The 2023 restructure partially addressed this by boosting his near-term earnings, but the opportunity cost of not. Maximizing his contract value remains. The available data shows remarkably few instances of Mahomes losing money, which aligns with his strategic financial management. Unlike some athletes who face bankruptcy or poor investments, Mahomes has diversified his portfolio across stable assets, sports teams, real estate, and high-profile endorsements, minimizing risk. His Super Bowl losses represent missed bonuses rather than out-of-pocket losses, and his contract structure reflects a deliberate choice to prioritize team success over maximizing his annual average value. What emerges from this analysis is a picture of Patrick Mahomes as not just an exceptional athlete, but a savvy financial manager who has leveraged his on-field success into substantial off-field wealth. Through a combination of record-breaking NFL contracts, lucrative endorsement deals, and strategic investments, Mahomes has built a financial empire empire that will likely continue to grow throughout his career and beyond. His approach to wealth management, focusing on diversification, long-term value, and connection to the Kansas City community, provides valuable insights into how professional athletes can translate athletic success into lasting financial security. As we evaluate Stephen A. Smith's criticisms of Mahomes, it's important to consider this financial context. Mahomes' decisions, both on and off the field, are shaped by considerations beyond just athletic achievement. They reflect a comprehensive approach to building a legacy that encompasses both sporting success and financial security. In our next section, we'll explore how fans and analysts have responded to both Mahomes' financial decisions and Stephen A.'s criticisms, revealing the complex dynamics at play in this fascinating sports narrative. The court of public opinion. Fans divided on Mahomes' legacy and finances. As Patrick Mahomes navigates the intersection of athletic excellence and financial empire building, his journey has not gone unscrutinized by the public. The court of public opinion, comprising fans, analysts, and media personalities like Stephen A. Smith, has rendered varying verdicts on Mahomes' decisions, particularly those related to his finances and contract negotiations. The financial decisions made by Patrick Mahomes, especially his contract restructuring and long-term deal with the Kansas City Chiefs, have sparked passionate responses from fans across the spectrum. Some view his choices as exemplifying selfless team loyalty, while others see them as naive financial conservatism or even exploitation by the Chiefs' ownership. These divergent perspectives reveal much about how fans perceive the relationship between individual achievement, team success, and financial compensation in professional sports. Among Mahomes' defenders, his team-first mentality receives the highest praise. In May 2023, when questioned about other quarterbacks surpassing his contract value, Mahomes made a statement that resonated deeply with many fans.
I always said I worry about legacy and winning rings more than making money at this moment. I know we keep communication.
This sentiment, prioritizing championship success over maximizing personal earnings, struck a chord with fans who value loyalty and collective achievement over individual gain. Supporters celebrated this mindset as a commitment to building a dynasty with the Chiefs rather than chasing short-term financial gains. Steve Young, for example, highlighted how Mahomes' willingness to restructure his contract allows the Chiefs to allocate resources to strengthen the roster, potentially enhancing their Super Bowl chances.
Look at how Patrick Mahomes thinks about it, right? He says, hey, look, I'm cool. I got my money, but I wanted to have plenty of money. And how many times did Tom every year say, look, I'm going to restructure I want plenty of money to get people that can come help me win Super Bowls. And so with that mentality, it could all get worked out.
This narrative positions Mahomes as the antithesis of the mercenary athlete, someone willing to sacrifice personal financial gain for the greater good of the team and its fans. And Steve thinks everyone else should do that.
If everybody says, oh no, I want every last dollar and I have to set the market, that's going to be a complicated. There's the awkwardness that you just talked about.
Supporters also point to Mahomes' contract restructurings, such as the one in March 2024, as strategic moves that benefit both Mahomes and the team. By freeing up cap space, these restructurings enable the Chiefs to sign key players like offensive lineman Josh Simmons or defensive players like Ashton Gallott, as reported by Marca in May 2025. This approach is contrasted favorably with other quarterbacks who demand top dollar, potentially limiting their team's flexibility and, by extension, their chances of championship success. However, not all fans view Mahomes' financial decisions in such a positive light. A vocal contingent believes that Mahomes is significantly underpaid relative to his market value and on-field contributions. As quarterbacks like Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow signed larger deals, criticism of Mahomes' seemingly modest annual average value intensified. An ex-post by a Chiefs_alpha in May 2025 used particularly strong language, accusing Chiefs owner Clark Hunt of treating Mahomes as a cash cow and house slave, arguing that Mahomes' relatively modest AAV compared to newer contracts leaves him underpaid for his contributions. Critics on social media platforms have also pointed out that despite Mahomes' financial sacrifices through restructuring, the Chiefs' offensive line and receiving core remain subpar compared to other contending teams. This observation fuels the narrative that Mahomes is not being adequately supported by the organization despite his willingness to accept less than market value. Another strand of criticism focuses on Mahomes' Mahomes' perceived missed opportunities for leverage. Fans have expressed frustration that Mahomes did not push for a contract renegotiation to reset the quarterback market, especially after his third Super Bowl win in 2024. Posts on X in July 2024, such as one by @JasseryFootball, noted that Mahomes' camp expressed no concern about being underpaid, which some fans interpreted as a lack of assertiveness.
Patrick Mahomes is getting the short end of the stick here, and they benefit from the fact that Mahomes is a nice guy. He's a guy who's compliant. He's a guy who's just going to take it and deal with it and smile.
Critics argue that Mahomes' loyalty to the Chiefs might hinder his ability to maximize earnings, especially as the salary cap rises and quarterback contracts continue to inflate. Perhaps the most pointed criticism comes from fans who believe the Chiefs' front office exploits Mahomes' willingness to take less money. This perspective suggests that Mahomes' financial concessions should prompt the Chiefs to build a stronger supporting cast rather than relying on his individual brilliance to overcome roster deficiencies. Amidst this swirl of praise and criticism, how has Mahomes himself responded? Interestingly, his approach has been consistently measured and focused on long-term success rather than short-term financial maximization. When questioned about other quarterbacks surpassing him in contract value, Mahomes has maintained that he prioritizes legacy over immediate financial gain, as evidenced by his claim. In a July 2024 ESPN interview, Mahomes explicitly stated that he does not feel underpaid despite recent quarterback deals with higher annual values. He emphasized satisfaction with his current contract and the Chiefs' ability to build a competitive team around him, suggesting confidence in the organization's long-term strategy. While some might interpret this as diplomatic avoidance of tension with the Chiefs' management, it aligns with Mahomes' consistent messaging about prioritizing team success over individual financial gain. While fans debate Mahomes' financial decisions, professional analysts have been evaluating his career trajectory from multiple angles, offering perspectives that sometimes align with and sometimes challenge Stephen A. Smith's critiques. Many analysts, like those at CNN, February 2025, have highlighted Mahomes' unprecedented success, describing him as standing on the verge of an unprecedented career with 5 Super Bowl appearances, 3 wins, and multiple MVP awards before age 30. They emphasize his consistency as a defining trait, with teammates like Carson Wentz praising his work ethic and preparation, which sets a high standard for the Chiefs organization. Now, while analysts have commended Mahomes' legacy, not all of their perspectives are uniformly positive, especially Stephen A. Smith's.
No doubt about it. He deserves our praise, our respect, our deference. I'm not taking anything away from him. But I'll tell you this. There's a slew of quarterbacks in the NFL. You give them those weapons, they would have enjoyed the same success.
The ongoing dialogue between Stephen A. Smith's criticisms, fan reactions, and analyst assessments creates a multifaceted narrative around Patrick Mahomes that extends far beyond his on-field performance. It encompasses questions about financial value, team loyalty, legacy, and the very nature of success in professional sports. This rich discourse reflects Mahomes' significance not just as an athlete, but as a cultural figure whose choices and achievements resonate across multiple dimensions of sports and society. What becomes clear through this exploration is that Patrick Mahomes occupies a unique position in contemporary sports culture, a position defined by extraordinary success, challenging criticisms, passionate defenses, and ongoing scrutiny. Stephen A. Smith's persistent critiques, while harsh at times, contribute to a broader conversation about how we evaluate athletic greatness, financial decisions, and legacy in an era of unprecedented media attention and financial stakes. As Mahomes continues his career, navigating the dual pressures of athletic excellence and financial responsibility, the dialogue surrounding his choices and achievements will likely intensify. Will his team-first approach to contract negotiations ultimately enhance or diminish his legacy? Will Stephen A. Smith's criticisms prove prescient or premature? And how will fans and analysts reconcile their expectations for individual financial maximization with their desire for team success? If you enjoyed this video, click on any of the cards on your screen for more content.